Thank you, Sarah. Have you ever walked into a room full of people and felt invisible? Like you were there, but no one really saw you. Some of you are nodding, some of you are thinking it, and some of you kind of just pretending that that doesn't happen to you. And that feeling right there is exactly why I am standing in front of you today. But before we can talk about business, entrepreneurship, money, success, goals, we have to talk about something more important. And that is you and who you are, and whether you believe you matter. I am not here because I had everything figured out at your age. I'm not here because life was easy. I am here for one reason only. If I can save even one of you years of pain and confusion and suffering, then today was totally worth it. Let me take you back a moment. When I was very young, I was separated from my parents. Not metaphorically, not emotionally, physically missing. I took a train and I got lost from my parents. I was one of those kids that you saw on missing billboards, on missing posters. I can still remember the moment I disappeared. I remember that feeling that followed, the confusion, the silence, and a question that no 4-year-old should ever have to think about. Who is looking for me? I was about your age when thoughts first started sticking. And suddenly my life changed. No warning, no explanation, no instruction manual. I remember looking around and thinking over and over again, did I disappear? Because when you're young and something like that happens to you, your brain does not think logically. It thinks emotionally. And emotionally, the message becomes this. If no one's looking for me, maybe I don't matter. Let me ask you a question, and you guys don't need to raise your hand for this. How many of you have ever thought, even for a second, I am not important? Maybe no one might notice if I failed. Maybe no one would notice if I just disappeared. Sometimes life gives you a confusing beginning like mine. And when that happens to you, two things can happen. Two choices that you can make. You can let your beginnings define you, or you can decide that your beginning is just the first chapter of your life and not the whole book. Think about one thing right now that's in your life that feels unfair. Not something small, but something real. Maybe it's a family situation, maybe it's money, maybe it is just confidence. And here's the important part. That thing that you're thinking about right now is real, but it's not your identity. One of the biggest mistakes that people make, especially when they're younger, is confusing circumstances with identity. And circumstances are things that happen to you, and identity is who you're becoming. They are not the same thing. And if you mix them up, you start living someone else's life. You start chasing labels. You start believing what other people want you to think. And since this group is about entrepreneurship, business, marketing, let me say it in a way that is going to matter to you. The most successful people in business are not the smartest, they're not the luckiest, and they are the people who know who they are. Because when you know who you are, you stop copying, you stop pretending, you stop trying to be someone else just to fit in. And that's true in business, and it's especially true in life. Okay, raise your hand if you've ever compared yourself against someone else. Be brave. All of us, right? Yes. Comparison makes you forget something important, where you were not created to be a copy. You were created to be original. And original always feels lonely before they feel confident. I'm going to tell you something very personal. Sometimes I used to think this to myself, and I would never say this out loud. And sometimes I did not understand for a long, long time, because when you go through something early in life, you assume that everybody else got a better starting position. You assume they were handed confidence. When I was younger, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out who I was supposed to be. I tried to make other people happy. I tried to be impressive. I tried to figure out what success was before I even knew what the meaning was. You might be thinking to yourself, what if my beginning already decides my ending? Those kind of thoughts can really mess with your head, because once you believe your future is limited, you just stop trying new things. You stop raising your hand. You stop taking risks. You stop believing you belong, and you stop shrinking your dreams to protect from disappointment. Raise your hand. How many of you have ever thought this? I'm not good enough for that. I'll let someone else do that. Just raise your hand if you've ever thought that or crossed your mind. Yes, look around. Look around. That thought right there is not the truth. It is fear wearing a very convincing costume. I implore you to think about the next part quietly. What label have you been carrying with yourself that you did not choose? Maybe it came from a mistake. Maybe it came from someone else. Maybe it just came from a moment. Now, listen closely. You can acknowledge something without accepting it as your future. This is where identity matters. Identity is not your grades. It is not your background. And it is not what people assume about you. Identity is a set of values that you guys choose to live by. When you decide who you are before the world tries to tell you who to be, everything changes. You stop reacting, you stop choosing, and that's where confidence actually comes from. Let me connect this back to marketing, DECA, business and entrepreneurship. The reason so many people fail at business is not the lack of talent. It's the lack of identity. They copy someone else's path. They chase someone else's success, and they build lives that they didn't even want in the first place. And then they wonder why their life is so empty. The strongest people are the people that start with who they know who they are, not who they're trying to impress. And you don't have to wait till when you're older to start understanding this, and that's why I am in front of you right now. You can start now. I want you to hear this very closely. If your life feels confusing right now, that doesn't mean you're behind. It means you're early. Confusion is often the sign that growth is happening. You just haven't connected all the dots yet. And one day you'll look back and realize that these dots mattered more than you knew. There's something I want you to understand before we leave this room today. You don't have to figure out your whole life to be valuable. You don't have to know your path to be important. You already are. Most people think mattering comes from achievements, from grades, from popularity, from attention. And if you're breathing right now, your story is still being written. And unfinished stories are full of possibilities. There was a time in my life when I believe my story was something to hide, something awkward, something that made me different in the wrong way. So I just stayed quiet. And the more I stayed quiet, the more disconnected I felt. But one day I realized something. Silence does not protect you. It only isolates you. And isolation is where hopes start to fade. You might not believe this yet, and that's totally okay. But one day, someone's going to have to know what you have been through. Not because you guys are perfect, not because you have all the answers, it's because you understand, and understanding is powerful. It tells someone you're not broken, it tells someone that you're not forgotten, and you don't need a platform for that. You just need true honesty. And before you become a business leader, an entrepreneur, a creator, maybe even like a YouTuber, decide who you are. Decide what you stand for and decide how you want to treat people. When you leave here today, I want you guys to do 3 things. Number 1, stop believing you're invisible. Even if no one has told you out loud, you matter. And number 2, stop your life and living other people's dreams. And number 3, pay attention who you're becoming, not who you're trying to impress. If you ever feel forgotten, if you ever feel unseen, if you ever feel like your story just doesn't matter, remember this moment. Because someone stood in front of you today and told you the truth. You are important. Your beginning does not define your ending, and your life matters way more than you think. So listen closely, because it took me a long time to figure out this part. No one is coming to give you permission. No one is coming to tap you on the shoulder and say, it's your turn. You must take initiative. You must take action. You must want it. Most people spend their entire lives waiting to be ready and waiting for someone to choose their path. And today I want to tell you something that might feel really uncomfortable right now listening to this, but it's true. If you keep waiting, nothing happens. Nothing changes. You decide, you choose, you take initiative. In that moment, when you stop waiting and you start choosing, everything starts to change. How many of you ever waited to feel confident? To speak up, maybe raise your hand, trying something new? Yeah, go ahead and raise your hand. Yeah, look around again. Keep your hand up if you thought confidence was supposed to come first. Yeah? Now here's the truth. Confidence does not come before action. It comes because of action. People ask me, Eric, how do you become confident? There's your answer. Confidence does not come before action. It comes because of action. Life does not reward potential, everyone. Life rewards movements. And every person you admire, every leader, every entrepreneur, every famous person that you might look up to made a decision before they felt ready. Not because that they were fearless, but because they were tired of waiting. Let me be honest with you again. There was a moment in my life when I waited. I waited to feel ready. I waited for someone else to tell me that I was good enough. I waited for the right time, and nothing changed. But the moment that I moved, the moment that I decided to take action, that moment decided to do that, everything started to change. Your presence today is not by accident. You didn't just wake up one day and you suddenly just appeared here, did you? You chose to compete. You chose to prepare. You chose to step into real discomfort. And this is discomfort. And that choice already puts you miles and miles ahead of other people your age. I want you to remember something today, because this part is so important. No one is coming to save you. No one's going to come tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, it is your turn. You must take action. You must take initiative. You must give yourself permission that it is your turn. You decide. I need you to hear that one more time because it is so important. No one's coming to save you. No one's going to come and just tap you on the shoulder and say, it's your turn. You must do it yourself. You must give yourself permission. The people you're competing against today, they're nervous too. Yeah. That person that's sitting right next to you right now, they're nervous. They have the same doubt. They have the same pressure. You guys know what I'm talking about? The difference isn't confidence. The difference of that person next to you that might look like they're not afraid, it's courage. Fear does not mean you're not ready. Fear means that you care. And confidence is not a personality trait, everyone. It is a skill that can be learned. And skills are built through repetition. Every time that you speak, every time that you stand up, every time that you take action, things start moving for you. You're training for your future self. And today is not about being perfect. I want to be clear about that. It's about showing up. This competition is rehearsal for life, for job interviews, for leadership roles, for moments when your voice matters. How many of you feel nervous right now about competing? Go ahead and raise your hand nice and loud. How many of you feel nervous about competing? Yes. And that's good. That's good. Own it. That means you're exactly where you're supposed to be. I want to do something with you to help you with those nerves. Does that sound good to you guys? Okay. We're going to break this up into 3 rows. You're going to be section 1 here. Section 2, you guys are going to have to be nice and loud because they're the smallest section. And section 3, okay? So section 3, 2, and section 1. Here it is. When I need you guys to say this nice and loud because you need to internalize this. When I say fear, I want you to say nice and loud, I can do this. And we're going to have a nice competing. Who's going to be the loudest? Okay, you ready? Okay, hold on. When I say fear, you say, I can do this. When I say fear, you can. I can do it. When I say fear, you can. I can do it. Let's do that one more time so your coach can hear you. When I say fear, you. I can do it. Nice job. Nice job. That was nice. I think you're ready. Yes. So when your heart is racing today, when your hands might be shaking, when your doubt shows up, smile. That is what growth feels like. Okay, everyone go ahead and stand up. Everyone go ahead and stand up. Okay, we're going to do an exercise really quick. Okay, nice and quiet. Nice and quiet. I want you to picture yourself walking into your competition room. Standing tall, shoulders back, breathing slowly, and presenting with confidence. Again, I want you to picture yourself walking into your competition room, standing tall, shoulders back, and breathing slowly. Okay, good. Everyone go ahead and sit down. Even if you don't win today, you're still winning something bigger. You're becoming the kind of person who shows up, who speaks up, who chooses themselves. Most people never do. 5 years from now, you will not remember the score. You remember this moment, the moment that you stopped waiting, the moment that you stood up, and the moment that you chose yourself. So walk in there like you belong, not because someone told you that you belong, but because you decided that you belong. Good luck, everybody.